Of course, Carter said. Franz Blochamp, a nasty little We sat together in the bleachers of the Eichmann High School gym watching youth basketball. Colorful jerseys shimmered past. The familiar smell of gymnasiums. Wood, concrete, steel, drywall, perfumed around us. The disorienting sounds of the gym. The odd distorted echoes of squeaking sneakers and the bouncing rubber pinging from wall to wall abound as well. As with most gyms, the sensory overload caused several of the spectators to break out in nosebleeds. Of course, it didn't affect me. I had grown up in gyms like this. My happiest memories took place within walls like these, sinking a game-winning layup, dunking over an opponent, watching a referee get hauled away by Child Protection Services for some reason. But there really is nothing in the world quite like it, all those people watching you perform athletic feats and cheering when you succeed. You remembered, I said. Yes, one fine, nasty Stop embarrassing me, I said coyly. Carter was my frat brother at Ohio State. We were now business partners and best friends. Carter sat rigidly upright in the bleachers. His posture, along with his velvet double-breasted Glen Check sport coat, white gloves, cigarette holder, and martini, made him stand out in the crowd of suburban Ohio parents. Carter was tall and thin, with steely blue eyes framed by his horn-rimmed glasses. His luscious gold locks of hair parted down the middle. His skin was soft and pale, but he maintained a rather lean, muscular physique. His back had the arching, rippled musculature of a swimmer, his stomach taut and toned. His perfectly tailored clothes hid his strength, which was really only ever on display when we'd wrestle in the locker room after a good workout. My admiring gaze was interrupted by his now approaching wife, Cindy, a woman Carter was much too good for. When we used to watch Fran on her cooking show, Carter said, remember how we'd sit in our bunks and beat off to her? Hi, Cindy, I said to his stupid wife, who took a seat beside us. But yes, Franz Blochamp, my old paramour and current object of discussion, used to be one of the most popular TV chefs in the world. So who's winning? Said Cindy. Jesus, cocksucking Christ, there's a giant scoreboard right there, honey, Carter said. Carter projected a distinct brand of northeastern waspy class. But what many people didn't notice was a great power and hunger lurking under the elegant surface, waiting to shoot out all over everyone. I was the only one who could control him when he got like that, dampen his hot fury in a cold pool of calm. What else did she say? Carter asked me. That's it. Carter smiled. So when's your flight to Fucktown? I don't think I can go. The third quarter of the basketball game was now starting. The score was 11-8. I had lost my son and daughter long ago, to college and graduate school, but I was here watching my current girlfriend's son, Terrell. Terrell wasn't very good at basketball. He was tall for an 8-year-old, about 1.7 meters, but he didn't have the correct athleticism to succeed. Basketball players need to have agility and finesse. Terrell mostly just threw his fist into the throat of whoever had the ball. It was hard to tell whether he liked the game or not. Sometimes he would break into maniacal bursts of laughter on the court, but then other times he'd just start foaming at the mouth and cursing God. Maybe it was just a phase, I thought. His mom, Jennifer, had to work late, so I offered to watch the game. I try to be supportive, even though we're not related, and genetically speaking, it would be more evolutionary advantageous if I just cannibalized the boy. Carter tried to drag me back to our conversation. Let me get this straight. You're not going? I regretted even bringing it up. Carter viewed women differently than me. Every Monday morning, the first thing he'd do is show me pictures of his anal conquests from the previous weekend he'd posted online. Cindy knew, of course, but what was she going to do? Cindy was fucking worthless. The referee blew his whistle to signal the start of the quarter. The Eagles' assistant coach fastened the straps on Terrell's muzzle as he ran onto the court. The Eagles were facing off against their district rivals, the V.W. Braun Elementary Rockets. The teams got in position at midcourt for the jump. The loudspeaker blared a popular rap song to fire up the crowd. I go hard in the motherfucking paint, n***. Leave you stankin', n***. What the fuck you thankin', n***? I heard a nearby parent cheering on the team. Let's beat these shitheads, Eagles. Come on, team play. The music stopped and the game began. For a moment, my thoughts of Franz subsided. The Eagles won the jump ball and made their way down the court. Terrell was playing center, posting up near the baseline. The Eagles swung the ball around the perimeter, but had trouble penetrating the lane. The Rockets had adopted a 2-3 zone. I thought back to my basketball days. If there was one thing I hated, it was a 2-3 zone. If there were two things I hated, it was a 2-3 zone and child sex trafficking rings. I had to admit, though, the Rockets had excellent separation. They knew how to force long twos and only to allow penetration in low shot percentage areas. Terrell ran the baseline. The Eagles' small forward drove and settled for a short-range jumper near the free throw line. The ball flew over the backboard and out of bounds. The Rockets coach pointed at Terrell and shouted, "Yo, Chris, you got that mongoloid-looking fuck guarding you. He's slow as piss. Just drive it right around him." I began to feel this was all a bit much. I'm all for pushing kids to succeed. My mother's influence was what motivated me to do so, but some parents forget it's about the kids, not themselves. I looked over at the Rockets' head coach. He was pacing back and forth in front of his team's bench, pen nervously tapping his clipboard. He was a big guy, perhaps even a few inches taller than me. Sharp cheekbones, well-groomed goatee, long, strong fingers. The kind of guy who could easily overpower you in a locker room tussle. "That's a bit over the line, don't you think?" I said to Carter. But Carter was lost in his phone. Cindy continued to do nothing of use to anyone. I tried to shake off the insult. It was an intense game, after all. The playoffs were rapidly approaching, and two players had already been teed up by the refs in the first half for arguing calls. But at the end of the quarter, disaster struck again. Terrell intercepted an inbounds pass from the other team and, startled by the screams and the photo flashes from the crowd, threw the ball towards the Rockets' hoop. The buzzer sounded as he sunk the shot, one for the opposing team. The points stretched the Rockets' lead to 5, the score now at 18-13. Most of the Rockets' parents burst into laughter. A few of the parents on our side broke into tears. The Rockets' assistant coach yelled out, "Did you see that faggy limp dick cocksucker shoot it into the wrong hoop? What a dumbass!" Terrell may have been the largest kid on the court, by at least half a meter, but he was trying to look as small as possible now. He curled into the fetal position in front of his team's bench. One of the Eagles' assistants tried to pry the boy's jaw open with the end of a fork. I couldn't help but feel for the kid. I thought it'd be best to keep the incident secret from his mother. A father of the Rockets player sitting near us had been laughing for the past 40 seconds. Carter finally looked up from his phone. He turned toward the men and said, "It would be wise to stop laughing." The father looked at Carter. He saw the pocket square, the cane, the cravats, and the mink shawl, and thought he could take such an effete opponent. But that real presence I described earlier, that hot masculine strength bubbling beneath the surface, didn't go unnoticed. The man sat back down. "I apologize, just got lost in the moment," he said. I got angry. I looked at the Rockets bench. The assistant coaches shared high fives and chest bumps. On the other bench, Terrell was being helped into his seat. He was perfectly still, smiling, his eyes glazed over, his arms limp. I took a sigh of relief. I tried to take my mind off the unpleasantness and return to Carter and my conversation from earlier. "Like I said, what about Jennifer? She's a 9/11 widow." "I warned you when you two first got involved." "I know, right? How can you ever break up with a 9/11 window?" "Exactly. Just gonna 9/11 her ass all over again." Carter was always a little nervous around Jennifer. She was probably the only woman he ever felt nervous around. He worried he'd accidentally mention 9/11 when we all hung out together. "I still think it's worth going. Didn't you say she sounded in trouble?" "It's hard to tell. It's been a long time." The Rockets' head coach left the court through the exit doors. I got up and decided to follow him. After he paid for his pretzel, I walked up to him and said, "Real classy." He adjusted his tie clip and cufflinks. Then he looked over toward me. "Sorry? Calling an 8-year-old a mongoloid-looking fuck?" I said. "Kind of overboard, don't you think?" The coach set his pretzel on the ground and ran his fingers through his goatee. He was even bigger up close. I'd say 7'2", maybe 7'3". "Hey, it's all part of the game, buddy." "Really? Get into his head, forcing your opponent to make an error." I noticed him sizing me up. In his eyes, I could see him imagine how he might take me down. In my experience, 7-footers always came into fights overconfident. I held my ground, silent and unassuming. "Anything else I can help you with?" he said. "He's just a kid." "Oh, I see. You're one of those dads. A gold star for everyone, right? Participation ribbon warrior? Let 'em all play equal, even the ones with asthma and leukemia and river blindness?" One of the Rockets' assistants came over. His suit was a double-vented Italian cut, in contrast with the single-vented American style of the head coach. "Cunt's about to blow the fucking whistle. Get your cum stain taint back in here." I took a step closer to the coach. "Just cool it. What are you going to do? He's fragile, okay? Sure, he may not remember most games, but he's just a kid." "Boo-hoo. Then maybe he shouldn't play. Fuck you. Time stopped. Everyone in the concessions line fell silent. The tension was palpable. What did you say to me? The assistant coach looked at me with that knowing smile, the one I get a lot. Well, well, well. The head coach asked, What? Do you know who this guy is? Who? Cable Anderkin. The head coach squinted at me. I could see the gears turning in his engorged head. We all stood in silence before the head coach finally said, Oh. Wait, who? The assistant explained that yes, I was that Cable Anderkin, Ohio State first-team All-American and two-time NBA All-Star, holder of a career 7.1 rebounds per game, an 87% free throw shooting percentage, and 10th all-time on the list of fourth-quarter steals in games decided by 7 points or less. Of course, that was ancient history now. I had given it all up to start a private investigation agency with Carter. I still remember the sounds of those free throws clanging off the rim, the assistant said to me. Just leave the kid alone. The head coach carved his pen across his forearm, drawing blood. You don't want to mess with me, he said. Typical. From Pee-wees all the way up to the big show, it was impossible to avoid guys like this. I just want to enjoy the game in peace. We're way past that now. Once this is over, me and you, in the parking lot. Tire irons or switchblades, your choice. Fine. But if I promise to come, I don't want to hear any more crap coming out of your mouth the rest of the game. You know I can't promise that. Then whatever. I stormed back into the gym. The fourth quarter was about to start. Jennifer was now sitting in the bleachers next to Carter. Cindy might have been there too. It's hard to notice someone so uncharismatic. I sat down next to Jen. She had a worried look on her face. Carter's restless legs bounded up and down, noticeably nervous in her presence. What was that all about? She asked. Nothing, I said. So what's the score? It's 18-13, Carter answered politely. Did Terrell score? I don't think so, I said. Jennifer knew I was lying. I had a photographic memory when it came to basketball. I could tell you how many times the ball had bounced off the floor in each quarter of every game this season. I turned away and focused on the game. After a minute or two, Carter spoke. I should get going soon. I've got an early hot air balloon ride in the morning. Carter ran his hands nervously through his hair. Stay for the end, I said. Our team is actually doing fairly well now. A couple of good slashers found their way to draw double teams and get quick outlet passes to the spot shooters. We scored 4 more points and had taken the lead. I glanced over at Jennifer. She was really quite beautiful. She had all the things you're supposed to like about a woman. But I felt we'd been drifting apart lately. She was working late most nights, though we certainly didn't need the extra money. We talked less and less. Like most women I dated, we'd been brought together by tragedy. I guess I was better at picking up the pieces than by getting them to stay in place. So how did Terrell play? Fine. When do you leave to see your parents tomorrow? Don't do that. I hate when you do that. Hey, I just want to know. It's not like I'm trying to steal the conversation. We watched the game for silence for a few possessions. The Eagles had now adopted a full court press. There were 6 turnovers in 2 minutes, but no points had been scored. Then she looked over at the Rockets bench and said to me, Why does that coach keep looking at you and motioning to slit your throat? I then explained about Terrell's blunder and the humiliation and my confrontation with the Rockets coaching staff. So you confronted the coach? Yes. Why? She asked. What do you mean, why? You made it worse. He's a jag-off. Darryl understands that. Trust me, people say a lot worse things to him. On the internet, in school, and at church. It literally sent Terrell into a seizure. Then let the paramedics handle it. He doesn't need your macho bullshit. I'm just trying to help. And now he didn't get to play at all in the fourth quarter because of you. Are you happy? I think he's not playing because he's asleep. We looked over at the bench. It was hard to tell when Terrell was actually sleeping. He always did it with his eyes wide open. But he didn't seem to be moving much. I told Jennifer about the fight I'd been challenged to. Don't even think about it. But all those guys are jerks. You can't just let them get away with calling your son a limp dick cocksucker. That's basketball. You of all people should know that. Terrell has to learn he's going to have to deal with people like that all the time when he gets older. Anyway, it's not your place to stand up for him. By now, the gym had erupted in a free-for-all. Parents threw blows at parents, players body slammed players. One ref took a jar of acid to the face. Terrell was one of the few not joining in. I figured he must still be asleep. Jennifer briefly looked over toward him to make sure his muzzle was still strapped tightly. Just she, Carter, Cindy, and I remained seated. I have to tell you something. Terrell and I don't plan on coming home from Phoenix. I just said we were visiting grandparents because I didn't want to have this conversation with you face to face. You're moving to Phoenix? We found a good home in a good neighborhood not too far from Terrell's grandparents. There's a good social network there, and Jennifer was broken up. What does this mean for us? Jennifer took a deep breath. A few rows in front of us, an Eagle player's father kidney punched a rival mother. Her husband lay on the ground nearby, motionless. Carter was pouring himself another martini. He had drawn the sword he concealed in his cane, which kept the rioters at a distance. Cindy didn't need to resort to such theatrics. People resented having to share the same oxygen as her, much less wasting the effort necessary to beat her down. Do you really want to move to Phoenix? Jennifer asked. I'm not so sure. Do I have to answer now? No. I'll wait. But not forever. Jennifer got up and walked down to the bleachers toward her son. Questions raced through my mind. Should I follow and plead for her to stay? Was this a blessing in disguise? Would moving rekindle the flame that had long been extinguished? Did I really want to move to Phoenix, the Cindy of American cities? Was my constant effort to do the right thing motivated by vanity more than compassion? Did Terrell just take that cop's gun? And what exactly are you supposed to do when a pregnant woman is choking? Jennifer stopped and stared, walking back towards me. My heart raced. I fought back the tears as I waited in anticipation. I'm sorry, do you guys have the time? She asked. It's 8:71, Carter answered, dropping his phone on the floor. Once again, Jennifer walked away. She slung Terrell over her shoulders, stepped over an unconscious ref, and kicked her way through the gymnasium exit door. It was the last time I'd ever see her do that. As Carter and I got up to leave, my eyes once again returned to the Rockets bench. The coach was still there, standing rigid amidst the chaos. His dead-eyed stare cut across the court and landed on me. A smile streaked across his face. With his eyes locked on mine, he pointed his finger at me, turned his hand over, and curled his finger back towards himself.